Hello everybody, welcome to an almost daily walking vlog, walking with Beau. Overcast today, but it's in the 70s. I feel a couple of water sprinkles on my arms while I'm walking. Not anticipating anything major. Since there's nothing on radar showing up. So if we did get anything, it would just be a shower. Anyways, today we're going to walk a route I've walked a few times, but not as often, but I'm going to change it up a little bit different today. Excuse me. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Right now I am seeing a lot of panic on the internet by Democrats. For one thing, they seem to be shocked that the polling numbers haven't changed since Trump's felony conviction. Now, we knew that was going to happen. But what they're really panicking about is the polling isn't showing the black vote in support for Trump, because typically they don't poll black people. And what I mean by that is they just call a sample pool of Democrats. I want to see a poll of just black people who are now supporting Donald Trump because they have gone after him like this, and the law has treated him unfairly, like they have to black people for a long time. And what I mean by that is a lot of black people are very poor, white people too, and if you get into legal trouble, basically you end up with attorneys that are not very good, a step above an intern or something. You know, you're basically the guinea pig for them while they're learning their craft, and you end up getting screwed by the courts. They also understand plea deals and how unfair that is. If you give us something on Donald Trump, we'll cut your 15-year sentence to 4 months. That's the kind of stuff they offer. So, if you're a 75-year-old man who's facing 20 years in prison, that's a death sentence. That's a life in prison sentence. So somebody comes along and says, well, if you give us something we can use on Donald Trump, wink wink, don't care if it's true or not, we'll give you 4 months or 6 months or whatever it is. Now, who in their right mind at 75 years old facing the rest of their life in prison isn't going to say, okay, I can do that? There have been a couple who haven't. God bless them for it. So they force you to do things that aren't right. And it's for politics. I mean, we've seen it. So This is going to be a very interesting election year. And the truth of the matter is, and I'm going to be bluntly honest about it, the reason why they have the polling so close right now, and people always go, well, if Biden is so bad and Trump is so great, why are they virtually tied in the polls? And the honest answer to that is that half the country doesn't like Donald Trump, whether they're going to vote for him or not. So some people are undecided. They really don't want to vote for Trump unless they have to. So that's just the truth of it. A lot of it has to do with the media. A lot of it has to do with people just being an independent. Maybe a left-leaning independent, a moderate, right-leaning independent, a moderate. You know, you have to remember that your party candidate is not going to get elected without the independents. That's just point blank, honest, even if you're the Democrats. So, well, what's the good news in that? The good news in that is Trump is somewhere between 55 and 60% of the independents. Right now, which hasn't changed very much since before the verdict. So, and you know, 2 months from now, this verdict's going to be old news. They're going to be talking about the sentencing. The sentencing is going to be a big deal. Because if the Democrats go ahead and jump the shark, and what I mean by that is they go crazy and sentence Trump to jail, well, let me tell you, which actually would be house arrest. He's not going to jail, okay? It's not going to happen. Former president, national security, etc., so on. He'll be under house arrest. So we got things like that coming up. Most people seem to think that he's just going to get 3, maybe 4-year sentence in jail, and then they're going to suspend it, give him a fine, or they'll combine different things like 6 months in house arrest, suspend the rest of his jail sentence, and you know, just to keep him out of the election. Now, we know normally people would not go to jail at all for this, but there's a different law that applies to Donald Trump that doesn't apply to other people. So you can expect something's going down. Republicans are already making noise that if they do that, there will be absolute hell to pay. I've already seen a couple of red attorney generals make reference that there's plenty of Democrats they can prosecute in their states, and they got to be careful. And I like what Trump had to say he did a 2-hour interview almost with Dr. Phil. If you get a chance to watch that, take the time to watch it. It's a little long, but Trump talks about a lot of stuff in there, and he also talks about we don't want to see Democrats go to jail. We don't want lawfare to be the new political weapon because it's bad for the country. So basically he was saying it should be used to make the Democrats look as bad as they are and take the high road. And a lot of people like myself, personally, I want to see blood. Not literal blood. I want to see I want to see prosecutions tit for tat. The gloves are off. We're at war with these people, civil war, whatever you want to call it. And I know that's not the correct way to look at it. But my emotions are running high, and I'm upset about it. This has to be answered. So that's the attitude I have right now. And I know it's not the right one. It's not the adult one. It's not the Christian one. It's not... I understand that. But an eye for an eye sounds pretty good to me at this point. But what does that do for our future? Donald Trump is temporary. What happens after let's say Donald Trump wins the presidency, does this 4 years, goes away, just ends up raising money for the Republicans, whatever. What do we do after that? Every future Republican candidate is going to be investigated, charged with crimes, and they're not going to have the resources or the charisma of Donald Trump to combat it. That's the problem. You need to think of the future. Democrats have an endless supply of corrupt judges, corrupt politicians. They run all the judicial systems. They run the DOJ. Even when Trump's in power, they were running it. So there's a deep state that we're going to need unanimous consent from Congress and the Senate, as well as the president willing to sign this stuff to clean it up. Now, the president has the authority to fire anybody in the administrative branch that he chooses. The media is going to make a big deal out of it, but Trump already knows that. And he's not running for re-election. But you also have to keep in mind that in 2028, more than likely, DeSantis is going to be the candidate. And I will vote for him. So that's just that. And another important thing for this year, I think, now I don't know what Trump's going to do, but this year, more important than other, and I've said this before, some people don't agree with me, Trump cannot pick a white vice president. He just cannot do it. Not this year. And I say that because he's doing well with black people right now. And that's going to continue through the election. You got to have a black person as vice president. Now, the first thing that's going to happen when he chooses a black woman or a black man for vice president is the media is going to pounce on him using black people in the media to say that he isn't really black, he's an Uncle Tom, you know, the usual nonsense that they do. But I think that works for Donald Trump because the bottom line is he picked a black person to run with him, not a yes man that's going to kiss Trump's ass. But you can campaign with a message that says this isn't about that, and it will resonate. And make no mistake, Trump's not going to get any more than 20% of the black vote. But the thing is, it's been said for a long time that if any Republican ever got 20% of the black vote, it was an easy election win. Because 90% of black people vote for Democrats. If you scoop away some of that, and the Democrats have lost a huge chunk of Hispanic vote, Latinos. They're not happy with the immigration problem. They're not happy with a lot of things. And they like what Trump has to say about it. So, Biden has lost 20 points with black people from between 2020 and now. He's lost 20 points with Hispanics. He's lost 20 plus points with young people. Now, granted, these are just polls, and they're young people upset with Joe Biden, so they're not going to choose Joe Biden just because they're upset. It doesn't mean they're not going to vote for him. But you get the point I'm saying here. They're not happy with Joe. They can't afford their ramen noodles anymore. And you know, these cheap vote buys that Biden is doing isn't going to turn the tide for him, like paying off student loan debt. So loan debt forgiveness isn't going to buy all these votes that they need to make that up. And now it looks like war is heating up in Ukraine with Russia. NATO is talking about troops being trained in Europe. And I really think a few months from now, we have the potential for World War III, and that's very serious. They have it in motion right now. While everybody was talking about other stuff, Biden, quote, gave permission to Ukraine to strike certain strategic targets from Ukraine with US missiles in Russian territory. Well, picture Russia giving permission to somebody in Mexico fighting with us at the Texas border, and they give permission to use their missiles to launch targets in Houston, Texas. That's how serious that is. The media is playing it down for some reason, and it's a big deal. So there's a lot of bad things going on, and the latest Pentagon report that I saw yesterday is that Russia is sending warships to train off Cuba. Cuba, 90 miles off the American coast. What happened in Cuba that almost led to World War III? The Cuban Missile Crisis. Russia is now schmoozing with Cuba again. And Russia has also indicated this past week, which was also underreported, is that Putin had mentioned that they could absolutely, if they wanted to, make nuclear weapons available to third parties to attack the United States inside our own borders. He said that. You can look that up. Somebody reported on it. I think I read it on the AP or Reuters, one of the two. And of course, every time you read something, you got to sift through the propaganda associated with it. Just get the basic facts and form your own opinion as to why. The article is always going to try to tell you why they did that. That's the propaganda. That's not the job of the media. It is today, but that's not what they're supposed to do. So things are getting, they're escalating quickly. And it is as bad as it sounds. I'm not exaggerating. It's not good. So, bottom line is, we may be able to get Trump in there and sworn in just in time. Maybe he'll be able to negotiate something before something really starts. And the other issue that Russia is facing is they know Biden is soft. They know his administration is incompetent and stupid and Marxist and ridiculous, and they live in la la land. So they're doing this thing with Cuba. So they're going to try to gain as much ground as they can before Trump gets in office, because they think Biden's going to lose. And they're going to be waiting and seeing what happens, just like we do. And you also have China with a whole bunch of warships around Taiwan. So we got a whole bunch of really bad things that could happen all at one time. And Chairman Xi and Vladimir Putin might decide to team up and attack both sides of the world at the same time, so there'd be too much for people to deal with, because we've already bankrupted ourselves with Ukraine. What do we have for resources? And if that happened, the stock market would plunge, probably a depression. Things could go very badly. And this is all the result of a stolen election. As pathetic as it is, that's exactly what happened. So it's going to get worse before it gets better, I guess, is what I'm saying. So we need to be mentally prepared for that. Maybe something good will happen. It's hard to say. Similar events have happened, that's happening now, and none of them turned out good. So that's all I'm saying. Yesterday was a good reminder. You know, it was D-Day. God bless those guys. 80 years ago. The last 80 years, it's been proxy warfare, or as they like to call it, controlled warfare. But I think that's about to change. So, in the words of Alex Jones, get your ass right with God, because bad things are coming. So the last time we walked this route, there was no leaves. Now we have leaves. Huh. There's a trail up through here. I'm gonna look on Google Maps and see where that goes. It's probably private property. So we had some pretty good rain last night. It cleared out. We were supposed to have 4 days of rain, a lot of rain, and the forecast changed again. Now it looks like kind of, maybe sort of, some rain here and there. Probably a lot like today, overcast, but no rain, or at least just spitting raindrops. So that's all I got from that aspect of it for politics. I saw a video with Chelsea Chandler, whatever her name is, and she was with what's his face that does the late night stuff, Jimmy Fallon. He was talking with her, and her former boyfriend is 50 Cent. 50 Cent is a famous rapper, very wealthy, and he has come out in favor of voting for Donald Trump after not supporting him in the past. That's why the Democrats are panicking, because these black rap stars influence a lot of black voters. They will make sense to people more than Trump can. So he said he was going to support Trump because he didn't want to have to change his name from 50 Cent to 20 Cent because of Biden and the Democrats taxing what they're talking about, stealing from the rich to give to the poor, which they're not even going to do. They're going to steal from the rich to give to Ukraine, and I think people are seeing that. You have to remember, with socialism, the reason why everybody has equality when there's socialism is because everybody's poor. They're equal. They're all poor. The people that control things, it's like Orwell's Animal Farm, if you've ever read that. You know, everybody is equal, but some people are more equal than others. Very famous line from it. So that's what they're doing with that. And so that's what they're doing with that. So everybody is equal. Some are just more equal than others. That is socialism in a nutshell. And that basically means everybody's equal because everybody's poor. So, very interesting times we're in, and make no mistake, we are fighting Marxism. It's clearly obvious. A few years ago, you know, they used to make jokes about the communists, the Democrats are communists, and it was more rhetorical, okay? Now it's factual. They openly admit it. They are Marxist, and it's not good. It's not good at all. And at least now people are recognizing it. And unless what we want, if we don't want what happened in Canada to happen here, or in the UK or other places, the last person in that line right now is a handful of Republicans in Congress and Donald Trump. That's it. 1/3 of the Republican Party is not on board with saving the country. They're in the same uniparty, as it's called. This is a very serious time for our country. You need to get people that you've never talked to about politics, at least try to tell them to make sure they get a vote. And we need a ground campaign of people involved. And people need to understand that if you hate Donald Trump and you hate Joe Biden and you can't stand either one, then don't vote. Don't vote. Because if you vote for Biden just because you hate Trump, it doesn't help. Just don't vote. Voting for RFK will also help Trump, because that's taking a vote from Biden. So we can do this. You need to talk to people. Maybe somebody you haven't talked to in a while. You know, just always be positive, you know. People are listening right now because they know something's wrong and they feel like they don't have anybody they can vote for. So you need to make that effort to let them know that they don't have to vote. Just don't vote. And the other thing different that the Republicans and Trump is doing this year is they're encouraging Republicans to stop with the voter nonsense, okay? Stop with the, oh, they're just going to cheat. Wait until the day of the election to go vote. We don't have any system in place right now, currently, in most states, to make that a reality. So things would have to change with voting between now and then. So in the meantime, you have to beat them at their own game. If the best thing for you to get out and vote for Trump is to send in a mail-in ballot, then do that. A lot of traffic today, that's all I'm saying. So that's pretty good. I'm wearing my Apple Watch, and you can see about 120 beats per minute walking up an incline, which is very healthy. $121. Let's see what it is when I get to the top. 124. So right now I'm at peak heart rate going up a hill. Breathing pretty good. 125 beats per minute, which is normal. Really good for somebody 56. Or almost 56. This isn't something I wear all the time on my walks, but you can hear my heart is going really good right now. Right now it's 137. Still within the range of normal. Under exertion. The real key to heart health is after you get your heart rate up, how long it takes to come back down. I got sweat running down my hand from under my watch, which is why I don't wear it that often. But that's the kind of exercise you have to get to exercise your heart. You got to get some cardio. That's why walking at a fast pace is good. Not like those silly looking fast walkers you see in clips, but just walking at a good stride. Now I'm down to 123. My normal walking heart rate is about 110, 15 while I'm sweating and walking hard. Sitting still at home, often I'll get a resting beats per minute of 52 to 56, sometimes less, which is very, very excellent. So now we're going to go downhill. Now I'm down to 115. And if you had heart problems, once you got your heart rate up like that, it would stay up there unusually long and you wouldn't feel good about it. Usually I'll average about 15 to 17 minutes per mile. First mile is usually the slowest. I think we could use some sidewalks here.
No, I figured that out a long time ago, especially when they don't give you room.
Well, I do about 40 miles a week. This is my sometimes route.
Yep.
And it was okay this winter too, but this isn't my favorite part because it's not safe on that side. Anyway, get that big old tree right there. So where are we at right now? I think I'm down to, says 110. So when I get up ahead, if the traffic isn't heavy, I'll cut across at the intersection. But if it is, I'm not going to bother because this time of day people are in a hurry. They're not looking for people walking. So I'll go down the road a little bit, one way or the other, probably that way, and cross when I have an opportunity. It all depends on what the traffic is like, because there's a lot of people are just jerks, really, and a lot of people aren't, you know, and sometimes you get a combination of both, which can actually be bad. You get somebody slowing down saying, okay, go ahead, and then the person in the other lane is paying you no mind. So while this person slows down for you to cross, they don't stop. the other people. So I had a question from V-Man on one of my videos asking me about the what the best walking shoes are. And typically I have found that shoes designed for walking, I haven't liked them. I had some Reebok walking shoes, didn't like them. I had a couple of other pair of walking shoes, didn't like those either. And I started to figure out, well, just because it says walking doesn't mean they're good for my walking. So there's a little Beamer. So what I did was I got running shoes. Running shoes have been working out for me. The best ones so far have been the A6 Gel, which I'm wearing right now. Kind of a canvas top, so I know my toenail is going to cut through the fabric and I'm going to have a hole in the toe before the shoes are even close to being worn. But because they're not leather bound, they're lightweight and they're very spongy. And what I mean by that is they found a medium sponginess, because I have a couple pair of shoes that are too spongy. I can't walk with them, they're too spongy. It's like walking on a wet sponge, and I don't like that. Yeah, they're comfortable on your feet if you're working somewhere and you're standing all day, that's different. But for walking, it's not good. The A6 Gels seem to have a happy medium. They're just stiff enough. They're just stiff enough to give the right push back on your stride, if that makes sense. And they are a running shoe. So the other thing to take into account, Mr. V-Man, is your body weight. Body weight is a huge factor in the shock absorbing of your shoes. So while these shoes are great for me because I'm 235 pounds according to the scale this morning, which I'm very happy about, and I'm over 6 feet tall, 235 pounds, so I'm fit. That's good, happy about that. So, but still it's 235 pounds. Now that's a lot of impact and weight coming down. So you got to find a happy medium there that works for you. And cut across right here. They weren't too bad. I had an opportunity and I took it. So yesterday, I didn't upload yesterday's walk, but there was an accident over here at the corner I saw. There was this big giant flatbed who had a, well, we used to call it a steamroller. It's not a steamroller, but it was coming down this way and it was making this turn right here. And if you're familiar with large vehicles making a turn, you need to give them room to make the turn. Well, that person didn't do that. So what happened was, it cut sideways and this Jeep got caught by the flatbed and it dragged it off to the side and almost, well, it flattened the tire, and the front end of the Jeep got scraped and injured. The headlight was broken. I mean the side light. And I showed my brother the photograph of that, and I think he pegged exactly what happened. Is the guy that was in that Jeep, it was actually his fault and not the large vehicle making the turn. Because those vehicles make a large wide turn, and experienced drivers know that trailer trucks will take an extra, they'll go into the right lane to make a turn when they're going left. And this person tried to squeeze by because they didn't know that. So, kind of a dumb thing to do. So I think he got that one just right. So we're gonna walk this way. So much different when you get all these leaves and stuff available. I don't have too much of this Apple Watch battery left. I didn't charge it. I just wanted to monitor my heart rate for enough of my walk to get an honest reading, which I do sometimes, and I recommend it. So when I have my heart rate up to a good level, a level area walking, I'm always between 1 and 120, 115. And then when I go up a hill, that'll go up to 125, 128. And then if it's a really steep hill, by the time I get to the top, my heart rate's in the 130s. A couple times I had 142, 143. But that is to be expected while you were under physical stress and strain. That's pretty normal. Would not be normal if you were just sitting at the kitchen table and you had that. And I have actually seen that with a couple of young people's videos on YouTube and also on social media, where they had a monitoring device like I'm wearing, Apple Watch, and they were just sitting there doing nothing at the table, and their heart rate would go to 80, 150, 70, 95. It was all over the place. And it turns out that they were vaccine injured and they had the myocarditis. That's one of the symptoms of that. It's an erratic heartbeat. So your heart tells you a lot of important things, and that's one of them. Once you get your heart rate up, really working hard, the amount of time it takes for it to come back down to normal, like, it's hard for me to tell right now because I'm walking. I was up to 100, and I think the highest one I saw on that hill we were on was 139. If I were to stop and just sit down and rest, a lot of the heart rate should go down to close to normal within a minute or two. If it takes longer than that, then there's something going on. And what I mean by longer than that is like 5-10 minutes later, it's still up there. That means there's something going on. Now we're at 3 miles. 3 miles. My back is soaking wet from armpit to armpit on my back. I can feel it. I got sweat running down my back, down into my pants, and I have sweat on my eyebrows dripping off, as well as sweat coming out from under my watch. Much easier to get a good workout when it's warm like this because it's not hot. Now, if it was 90, 95 degrees today, sunshine, humidity, I would not be out here walking like this. That would be a night walk. I'm just not going to do that. I've done it before. You have to bring liquids with you. Sometimes you got to stop and rest somewhere. Your heart rate goes up a lot higher when you're hot. That's the other thing. And so, I mean, I don't have any heart condition or anything, but still, when you have to, in the summertime when it's really hot like that and you have to stop because your heart is pounding out of your chest and you can actually feel your neck veins pulsing, your carotid arteries are thumping in your neck, that is a heavy load on your heart. And I remember years ago, a couple times this happened actually. Both times I wasn't there, thankfully, but it was a rink that I played at where these guys in their mid-40s, early 50s were playing ice hockey and they had cardiac arrest on the ice and they died. Because that's not the place where you want to have a cardiac arrest. I would not want to have a heart attack out here while I'm walking, because who's going to come help me if I'm unconscious? These days, somebody driving by seeing you on the side of the road unconscious, they won't even stop and see what's wrong. Well, it's not my problem. Well, I'll deal with it. So, but anyway, back on the sneaker question for V-Man. Sorry, I got sidetracked again. Asics gels, excellent. And the other thing with the Asics gels is they're less expensive than some other shoes. And they're good walking quality. Now, I can't tell you how long they'll last, how long they'll stay stitched, but I can tell you they're comfortable. I would definitely get another pair. My brother actually gave me these because he bought them, and we wear basically the same size shoe. And he bought these as extra wide, and they don't feel like extra wide. Because I can't wear extra wide because I have narrow feet. I usually buy a size 13 D width, which is the normal width. Extra wide usually feels like, well, it's good if you want to wear extra thick socks, things like that. But I always have to pull those very tight. And then sometimes I'll have rubbing issues inside the shoe. I get a blister. They don't quite fit me well, but these fit me perfectly, like a D width. And it said extra wide on the box. So I don't know if that's universal with Asics gels, but my best recommendation to you would be to go into a store and try some on and just walk with them. And I know that can be difficult because sometimes a shoe will feel like it's not good in the store, but then when you're actually walking in stride, it's actually good. Now, my Skechers Sports are like that. They also had a long break-in period. This sponginess of them was very stiff. Very stiff. I was like, oh my God, did I just waste money on these? Well, I'll wear them anyway. And after that first walk, they broke in, and they're one of my favorite walking shoes I have. Very excellent, shock absorbing, not too forgiving, not too soft, and also not too stiff. It's like just right. Now, one of the toes, the leather is starting to unstitch prematurely, which I'm not a fan of. But that seems to be the only spot, and the rest of it still seems to be intact. And I have put a lot of miles. I checked my mileage for May. I added up my mileage for May, and I walked 124 miles in May. which is an uptick because typically, according to my stats I was looking at, I was doing about 80 to 90 miles a month. So 124 I added on to it. And that's all in my Google account. So yes, Google, the data mining, intruding into info SOBs, they know how much I exercise. So coincidentally, I see a lot of ads aimed at me for shoes, sneakers, athletic wear, and things like that, because that's why they do that. So they're a company, they're entitled to do that, and if you don't like it, then don't use Google. But you know, they own YouTube. I think they own eBay too, or PayPal owns eBay, or eBay owns PayPal, or whatever. I have no idea who the hell owns who nowadays. So anyways, definitely getting in a good walk today. So the 72-hour waiting period for purchasing or bringing home a firearm after you purchase one will go into effect, I think, August 11th. Because it was to go into effect in 90 days after the legislative session ended, which will bring that into August. For most people, maybe it's not a big deal, other than you purchase a firearm and then you have to go back and pick it up later. Very annoying. Very irritating, but it just really bothers me that if somebody is being harassed by somebody and they feel they need protection, they have to go buy a firearm, hope the person that they're trying to protect themselves from doesn't injure them or attack them, and if they've never used a firearm, they need some time to learn how to use it. So that's 3 days they lose. That's valuable time. So I mean, I've talked about that a lot before. There's no real way to tell if somebody's bought one already or not, or if it's their first time, because they really don't keep records on that. They need a gun registry for that. So anyways, looks like school is just about ready to get out. See what my heart rate is right now. It says 107. Like people sitting here waiting for their kids. And dog barking at me. Furniture Superstore. We've gone walking through those trails behind here before. May do that again. It was an interesting walk. I had a difficult time making 5 miles out of it though. Didn't even come close because it's not very long. But I could make that part of another walk. Now we'll cut across here. Now that we have a sidewalk. Oh, nice little field here. It's been a fun little field to play Little League Baseball on. Pick up games with your friends. A lot of times things we would use for bases would be things like empty beer 6-packs, the cardboard, you just fold it closed, 12 packs, that sort of thing. Anything that you could just put on the ground and use for a base. It's always a lot of fun. Now I walked through this trail before with you guys thinking it would go somewhere, and it really didn't go anywhere. It just led me through having to go through a bunch of thorny bushes that cut my arms up. And it went to somebody's private property. So and we are still in tick season. For sure. So if you went rummaging around through this brush right here, chances are you'd end up with ticks. At least 1 or 2 anyways. That's a quaint little house. Kind of like it. So the usual suspects, V-Man once again for walking shoes. New Balance is good. I've had different ones of those. Those are always really good. I like my Reebok running shoes, specifically the Ash-Trek. There's 2 different models of the Ash-Trek, and you can tell by the the leather on the top. One's a 92 and one's a 93, or a 93 and a 94. They look similar. They're about the same sneaker. They're just designed a little bit aesthetically to look different. We got the fire station here. I still call it the new fire station. It's been here a couple years. And what I like about the A6 gel is I know these are not going to be good in the winter time to walk with, but this time of year, kind of a canvas top. Like I said earlier, they don't have the leather stitching. If you want to see what they look like, I don't know if you can see that, but very comfortable. Now I usually wear winter boots or hiking boots. Not low tops, they're usually high tops for winter walking. You get the extra ankle support in case you slip on ice and snow. Walking in the winter time on ice and snow is not the most favorite thing, which is why a lot of times in the winter I stop walking and I only walk when weather allows it. Like last winter, you saw me go on a few walks because we had, through much of last winter, it was mild. Didn't have snow on the ground for the most part. Very unusual. I don't know if you saw that or not, but there was a little chipmunk that ran out in the road and then he stopped, and I was waiting to see if he was going to get pinched by a tire, but he scooted across. Don't know if you can rewind the video, you might see it. It was a tiny little thing. I saw it easily with the naked eye. Low power, says I get 10% left on my Apple Watch. 10%. All right, I'm going to turn off my the Apple Watch. Check out my mileage. Right now I'm making up the mileage I'm missing. I'm at 4¼ miles, and I need 5 miles, so I'm gonna walk this way. We walked this way earlier. Bike store here seems to be pretty busy. So somewhere up ahead here, I'm going to stop recording because I can't reveal the location of the bat cave. But click like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this walk, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Today is Friday, as it's called. Click like and subscribe, share the content pertinent to what you like and wish to share online. And we will talk to you again soon, friends. God bless America. Thank you for watching.